I feel like I am in a movie. My name is Francisco Rivas, and long before I heard this sentence from one of my students while working in this project, I started watching birds. My twin brother on the left studied to be a biologist, and I studied to be a music teacher. And I recognized that I made it just to make something different. But some say that you cannot deny your destiny. So soon I was sniffing again with birds and science. And I started recording birds with a very humble equipment. Here I am in central Chile with a handheld recorder. And yes, that's a friend's daughter's sock as a windshield. In 2012, I wrote my thesis on musical analysis of bird songs in Chile, and I discovered that most of the musical elements were present in Chilean bird songs. And to me, that means that birds can make music. In their own special way, of course. 2 years later, I went to California for the annual Natural Sound Recording workshop given by a team from Cornell Lab of Ornithology. I learned a lot in this workshop, and I was very excited to come home and record our own birds. Back in my country, I started a new project, the Bioacoustics Museum, which will celebrate the sounds of nature with exhibitions, citizen science, and education projects. A lot of volunteers helped in the building of the first phase of the project, and it's still waiting for the final touch. Meanwhile, I continued guiding birdwatching tours, workshops, conferences in several points of the country, and I never stopped recording. Eventually, one good day, I found the Nat Geo Educator Certification Program, and I saw it as a great opportunity to rethink my teaching. So for this project, I wanted something that would link birds, territory, and people. An interesting task was to figure out how we humans use the landscape and how the birds use it as well. I designed 5 activities aligned with the themes Map It and Go Outside. In Lesson 1, students learned about how soundscape recordings can help us to understand biodiversity and its changes through time and space. This was achieved by observing and discussing videos of scientists working in this field in different parts of the world. After that, they learned how to program an autonomous recording unit. In Lesson 2, the students were trained to identify local birds by ear using online audio libraries, Senocanto and the Macaulay Library of Natural Sounds. At the same time, they learned how to identify bird sounds by viewing sonograms on Raven Light software. This will be used later in the analysis of soundscape files. In Lesson 3, students used Google Earth Pro to identify the main land uses in the rural part of our community, including agriculture, livestock, exotic plantations, gulches with mixed vegetation, and native forest areas. This was very exciting for them, and this was when Camila said she felt like she was in a movie. In Lesson 4, students visited selected spots for the different patches marked on the map, observing and taking notes about the biodiversity of each one and recording the soundscapes. In Lesson 5, students collected the recorders in the field and analyzed the data in order to make lists of species present in each landscape patch. Then, they summarized it in a big printed map, marking the patches and the species present in each one by pasting printed sonograms on it. Finally, they were able to compare and identify consistency in the presence of several bird species in the different landscape patches. The map was published in one of our school's notice boards and through social media. This project incorporated the human and natural worlds when the students collected and analyzed biodiversity data and related it with the land use by local farmers and companies. They worked on multiple scales, local, regional, and global. The students understood their own territory more deeply by analyzing its landscape, and they realized that the methods of production are similar around the world. We addressed the spatial perspective when they analyzed the land use. ecological perspective when we collected biodiversity data, and economical perspective when we compared the land use of different territories and relate them with the economic model. They showed curiosity when discovering the species present in each landscape patch. The project reinforced responsibility in the students by encouraging them to worry about their own environment. And they were empowered by the fact that they took action in a local scale. They improved their observation skills when they identify bird species by sight and ear and the landscape patches through satellite images. They worked as a team to discover the strong relationships between geography, land use by humans, and habitat occupancy by birds, and they were able to share their work with their community. Finally, I want to thank National Geographic for the opportunity. Hope you enjoyed it.